Saturday here at Heartland. It's another beautiful day, but it's starting to feel like fall out there. It's getting chilly. I just ran out with bare feet, so I know that.
I know, that's why my feet are tucked in like this.
Marie left her net. Anyway, so today here we are, lobby lesson number 9. We are going to be working on down dog. When you're new to down dog, it's a really hard posture. A lot of effort goes into the wrists and the arms. And you're mostly holding up your body weight in that pose. So it's a great weight-bearing posture, but until the body parts get strong enough, sometimes we need to tweak that out. And then once you're comfortable in down dog, it becomes a resting pose in a place where you can actually start stretching your shoulders, the backs of your legs, and engaging your core, and start playing with some energy locks, known as bandas. So it can be really great. I know we have some men in our studio that are really tight to the arms and the shoulders, and they use locks in down dog. So I'd like to show how somebody who has some tightness in the arms can use the blocks to help them with that as well. So are we ready, Julie? Let's do some down dog.
Ready.
And show some peeps how to get their down dog to be just what they need when they need it.
So we're gonna do down dog without a mat today, which is
we're going old
really
school style.
difficult. So if you guys want to try down dog on just a rug, try it out and see how much you have to engage your arms to stay stable. You want to do the first down dog or me?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll do it. I've been up a lot longer, I think, at this point. All right. So when traditionally yoga mats are rather new on the yoga scene, they were only developed in the 90s. So most of it was done just straight on the ground or a rug or an animal skin. So you can, like Julie said, you'll feel, especially on a wool rug like this, you'll start sliding a little bit. So first to get into down dog, you're going to lift your hips up and push into the hands and really begin to let the heart drop back towards your thighs. And then a lot of people think that they have to bring their heels down to the ground, but you don't. Most people have a slight bend in their knees as well. So if you're not open in the hamstrings, you're just going to have a bad knee. Not everyone's going to have straight legs and down dog. So get that idea right out of your head. And then once you're in the pose, you want to kind of, oh, I should have took my shirt off. You want to really open up the shoulders and engage the armpits. And since I'm here, Julie, why don't you do some talking?
One thing I noticed is if you see the length of Donna's leg, if you were to just bring that length down, that's about how far you should be from the back of your hand to the tip of your toes for your down dog. So that's relative to everyone, about the length of your leg. Somewhere between a high plank, can you shift into that plank? So it's right between high plank and down dog. You just lift your hips straight up. So there's no movement of the hands at all. So if you're way out here struggling super hard, you can always shorten your down dog a little bit to get your hips higher. You'll see this a lot with people with super tight shoulders who can't bring their chest back at all. So I'll move over a little bit. So I taught kids yoga last night. You'll see this a lot with kids. They're way out here because they think it should be effort. This should be a rest pose eventually. So you might need to walk your feet up a little bit, relax your knees, and push your chest back. Now you might notice that my elbows go wonky here. So I really have to focus on bending my elbows and then pulling them in with my armpits and then re-straightening my arms. And then press down through my thumbs. So they're more engaged now, and I'm not just dumping in.
That's fantastic. The other suggestion I'll make, especially for newer people, is to widen the stance a little bit. That gives you more stability, it shifts the weight out a little more, and it takes some of that pressure off the wrist until the body's strong enough to hold you up in this place. And I'm not sure if you can see with Julie's shirt, but the core comes in and up as well on this pose. When you get good at it, you can start pulling the breath in, and the belly comes up under the rib cage, as Katie likes to call it. So pull your guts up in it. Brad, do you have anything to add to this?
Julie, go back up into down dog. And bend your knees way down, way down, way down, and see if that lets you, well, not that far down, but see if that lets you lock your shoulders out a little bit more, press back in a little bit more. Now straighten your legs and lift them back up. And again, back to your thing about getting the hips out of the way so the shoulders can get back. That's pretty much how I do it nowadays, is soften the knees a bunch, let the shoulders come back, and then lift the hips back up.
Yeah, which is a wonderful way to
Takes
get
the
it a
low
little
back
deeper.
out, takes the hamstrings out, and
Also
you can get your
looking
shoulders engaged.
For some broadening across the hip bones as well. There's a lot to focus on in down dog. It starts with your hands. And usually we come into down dog from an up dog or a cobra so that, like Julie said, your hands never move. So from your up dog, you would just shift up and back. And that takes a lot of core. You have to use your belly to push the hips up and back. Otherwise, you're going to dump in your shoulders, and that's where a lot of people end up hurting their rotators, is that they force too much in the rotators.
And bending your knees in that one too will make it
A lot
easier to
So
push back.
One is a nice, safe way to do this is a Jivamukti method, or at least that's the way I learned it when I was in training with Alan, is that you would come through knees, chest, chin, and then a nice little low cobra, and then you would push your hips back to your heels and straight.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little softer method of entry, but it's deeper. And it can be a lot better than for those who have a hard time that struggle from going from here to here to here.
And you might notice too that if you do practice that Jivamukti method, that you find yourself engaging more instead of dumping.
We see a lot of dumping in chaturanga.
You can engage the core,
So
engage the armpits.
Getting really good this week. Congratulations
It is.
to everybody who's been practicing their chaturanga. You can tell. You can tell. So I know Joe has some really strong arms and he's really tight through the shoulders. So if you're a man or a woman who struggles with down dog because you feel like your arms aren't long enough or you can't push back, blocks are a fantastic way to get into that pose and get into your armpits and your shoulders without struggling to reach the floor. So.
And we are working on assisting more during classes as teachers. So if someone comes up to you to adjust your posture, don't worry or resist
You want
it.
to show a couple?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, try not to think that, oh no, I did something wrong and they had to move me around. It's just we can see your body mechanics a little bit and sort of move you in the right direction. So lift your knuckles up, Donna. So you'll see a lot of people, if you can come over here, Brad, the inside of their hands will be lifted up. And that happens sometimes if we have weak, what are these? Elbows. So as you saw, she just engaged her elbows, and you can see maybe a teacher will come up and just gently step on your palms or on the tops of your hands, or maybe they'll come over and press down. So that just is to press down right here. Oh, you see that little slip? That's the rug. Good. And then you might notice a teacher come up and rotate your arms here. That engages your armpits. The teacher might come behind you, grab underneath your hips, and pull you back. Good. A teacher might come over, press on either side of your spine above your shoulders. So we don't want to press here, but here. So just a few different adjustments. And just try not to resist the adjustment if a teacher comes over. Breathe even deeper then. And then that way the teacher knows when to push and when to stop, because they'll be able to hear and feel your breath.
And all those adjustments felt great. It took me to a place I wouldn't have gone by myself. None of them were crazy or drastic, but it just made a little more effort in the posture, and in some places took the effort out and allowed me to find that space I wouldn't have gotten to on my own. So adjustments are really good for that.
Do you want to show some of the wilder adjustments?
Sure.
Okay.
Did you want to adjust me, or you want me to do it at you? Which
You
one?
can do it on me.
All right, which
I
one?
want some adjustments.
Okay. I'll lay on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So, for me, there's a height variance with most of my students. So I can do what I was trained to call an aggressive assist. So I would come up to a student, usually in particular, somebody I know well enough that I could grab a hold of the hips and I'm going to push up and back. And then I'm going to keep her there by using my own body weight. And then I can actually then come on in here and either roll the inner thighs out or in or even back, depending on the student I'm working on. So that's a pretty assertive assist. And if the student decided to move their hands or feet, this could be a major fail for both of us. So it's important to communicate with your teacher in case there was something going on that wasn't appropriate for your body. Another one that it's a little invasive, but it feels so good. I hear mostly from our men's students how much they like this one. So you come in from the inside of the thighs, and you get a nice big grip, and you roll back. And then I'm going to pull with all my might, like I'm trying to pull Julie right off the floor.
And you can see I can lift my hands pretty easily, so she is pulling really hard.
But at the same time, I'm using our body weight, what is that, natural traction towards one another to counteract that. What other one were you thinking, Julie?
The fun handstand one where you put your feet on my shoulders. Do you know that one?
No. I know this one. I can put my feet
You can
down.
do that one.
All right.
Now you guys are just getting out of hand.
And I can use my feet. Push back.
And this one is really nice actually because there's not a lot of pressure, but there's a lot of adjustment. So I can really feel this in my legs, my hamstrings, and my calves, and it takes a lot of weight out of my shoulders. But you don't feel the teacher pushing on you really hard. It's a really nice one.
From my point of view, I'm getting a bit of a workout here too, because I'm using most of,
I'm in an L-shaped handstand here. So if you wanted to get into a fancy pose, then you would balance ground and then the teacher would actually do something silly.
And then take pictures.
And then you want to dismount very carefully so you don't injure yourself or the student. And come out slowly but slowly. All right, what's the one you stand on the shoulders? I got it.
Oh, I think that I would be too tall to do it for you. It's the same thing, L-shaped handstand, but your
Feet are on their shoulders.
right above their shoulders.
Okay, we'll practice that one.
Next week with that one.
Anything else we want to add before Vicky comes in?
No, I think that was everything that I can think of right now. Obviously, you could go on for hours.
Oh,
but don't
we
talk.
could. Questions, comments, and thanks for playing.
Yeah. Namaste.
Namaste.